We're going to go ahead and start out with our heat check, where we check in with the hottest players from around the league, offensive side, defensive side, and a special spotlight on those rookies. Starting off with the defensive side of the ball, Drew loves some good D. Let's go ahead and push it on to him. Who are you starting out with?
You know what? Since I do love the D, especially the sacks, I'm gonna go with a man who had 2 sacks yesterday, Mr. Danielle Hunter, and I'm gonna give him the defensive player of the week because A, he showed out with Will Anderson not available, and
Right.
B, he caused the Cowboys to lose. So he's gonna be the best defensive player in the league, to me, because anytime you cause the Cowboys to lose, although I think that the Cowboys could have played against Highlands High School yesterday and they would have lost. That just plus that's your team. I wanted to shout out your team. I was hoping they were gonna lose so I could drop them out of the top 10 so I could get the Chargers in there. But another week, maybe I can drop one of your Vikings/Texans teams out of the top 10 so I can get more of my teams in there. But they hung on. They smashed the shit out of the Cowboys as to be expected. And Danielle Hunter, defense player of the week for me.
I went with Frankie Louvu. He had 10 tackles, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, and 3 quarterback hits last Thursday night going up against the Philadelphia Eagles. He's all over the place. Frankie's having a really good year coming from the Panthers onto the Commanders. He's really being a dog on that team. He's used all over the place. He's not really pushed into one side or the other. He was really a primary pass rusher last year in Carolina, but he's being used off the ball, on the ball, kind of all over the place. So he's having a great year, and he had a great week this week. I had a couple other guys I want to shout out to. Zach Bond, who is another linebacker who's been fantastic off of free agency for the Philadelphia Eagles. 15 tackles, a tackle for loss, and a pass deflection. He's been all over the place. And also Pat Jones, 5 tackles, 2 sacks, 3 tackles for loss, and 5 quarterback hits. 5 quarterback hits. So yeah, I definitely had to put him in there because 5 quarterback hits is a lot for a single game. Did you have anyone else?
Yeah, I went with I'm a big fan. Well, I'm not really a big fan because he plays for the Rams. But matter of fact, I'm not a fan of anyone that plays in my division. But Cam Kitchens, he's out there and
Oh man,
he's
Cam's been
doing
killing it, bro.
he's doing the damn thing. And what's crazy is uh this kind of goes with what I was talking about Genty with the top 10 pick is
Mhm.
the safety talent that you can get because the dude whose name I'm forgetting that plays for the Packers, who's been out of this
Xavier
world this
McKinney.
year. Thank you. I mean, like, it's just you you find talent all over the place in the draft, and that's why I'm
Yeah.
not exactly sure if you should be spending a top 10 draft pick on a running back.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that makes sense, but you find this safety, Cam Kitchens, in the 3rd round,
Yep.
and he's a freaking stud for you. The my team, and I'm only talking about my team, even though they're 5-5 and they kind of suck, is because they've had massive injuries this year, and they
Yeah.
would probably be 0-10 if it hadn't been for massive. We got a stud rookie on the offensive line. We got a stud rookie playing corner. We got a really good rookie playing safety. It's like we got rookies
Yeah.
all over the place that are contributing, and you can find so much talent to help your team in these later draft rounds. That's why it's important to nail these picks because if you waste a first round pick on an untalented player like
Offensive tackle that's super raw and yeah.
I wasn't even gonna go with Guyton. I wasn't even gonna go there. I was gonna go with like Cole Strange. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, right.
it's just these draft picks are so valuable. And I know the NFL has gotten away from that in the last couple of years, just trading picks away for players. But
Mhm.
as
Right.
the salary cap, right, as these players get more and more expensive, being able to, you know, we can't bring back a Charvarius Ward next year. So sliding in a rookie like Renardo Green and having him play really well is important to building a successful team going forward.
Yeah.
And Cam Kitchens just being able to find a safety to just plug him there in the 3rd round, and now he's just gonna be a starter, and he's just gonna ball out. It's just an excellent pick by the Rams.
Yeah, honestly, I you and I have already had a conversation about what at the end of the season, going back and looking at the rookies and just going through the draft classes in general, seeing who wins, who loses, redrafting our first round, our first 20 picks. We've already had that conversation, but it's gonna be really interesting to look at some of these classes because you look at the Rams class for this last year, Jared Verse, Braden Fisk, Cam Kinchens, that's their first 3 picks, and every single one of them is providing and contributing immediately. Not next year, not the year, like right now, they're immediately making an impact on a team. and especially on that defensive line that's just really young and it's stout with talent right
Well, it makes you wonder, like, like I loved Max Melton
now. Yeah.
coming out of the draft. But you got Andrew Phillips, he's been fantastic for
Yeah.
the Giants this year.
Yep.
And then you look at a team like the Falcons, and the Falcons got Michael Penix sitting on the bench. They got a first round draft pick. It reminds me of a couple years ago. Now Jordan Love's turned into a stud, so the Packers obviously made the right decision by picking him. But could
Mhm.
they have not selected someone else that would help them for this season? Now I'm not exactly sure. Looking at Kirk Cousins and his performance lately, if that Penix pick isn't going to turn out to be the right pick down the line here, but just a lot of talent came out of this draft. This draft was really, and I'm slowly getting into next year's draft, and I'm looking at the quarterbacks, and I'm kind of puking a little bit, and I'm looking at the deep end wide receiver talent, and I'm kind of puking a little bit. It's just
Right.
like, man, are we going to have like one of the all time historic great drafts followed by a fucking dud? That's kind of what like it's starting to get it's starting to get a little interesting on what this draft is gonna shape up to, so
Yeah, now that college football season is starting to wind down towards its end before the playoffs really kick off for them, I've definitely been side eyeing it a little bit, as some of our viewers might not know who are brand new. I don't really watch a whole lot of college football until it starts to get close to the end of the season, and then that's when I'll sit down and I'll watch a ton of tape on over 100, 150 players for the draft. At least the first 3 to 4 rounds is where I'm really comfortable in. I've done more than that. I've done the first 5 rounds. One year I did that was fucking insane. I don't know if I'll be able to do all that, but at least the first 3 rounds you'll get out of us. Once football season ends, it doesn't end for the 2020 podcast. So we keep it rotating, we keep it moving continuously. No matter who's moving out of state, you, me, we're going to be miles and miles away, and we're still going to keep this thing rolling.
Oh,
Looking,
yeah, speaking of representing.
there you go. Now, moving on away from the defensive side of the ball and looking at the hottest players for the offensive side, I can go ahead and start it off. I think there was a lot of really good offensive performances this week, but the guy who always gets continuously shouted out, I feel like, is it's Saquon. 26 carries, 146 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 reception for 52 yards. It's just continuous. It's every week. It's almost 200 scrimmage yards. It's hard to go with anyone else besides Saquon. And there was good performances from superstar big name players here. But Saquon, I feel like is the pretty obvious answer. There's a couple guys to shout out, but I'll let Drew go first before I hijack and start taking his guys if he has anyone that he wants to shout out here.
Yeah, I was just gonna go very simple. I'm gonna go with Jared Goff, 400
There you
yards,
go.
4
Yeah.
touchdowns. They're the best team in football, which is, the number 1 of the power rankings finally lost this week, so we can, slot them where they belong. Lions are the best team in football. They've been
Yeah.
smashing people, and Jared Goff hasn't even been doing nothing. 82 yards passing and wins and crazy shit like that,
Right.
so and I don't come for me, Lions fans. I don't mean he hasn't been doing anything like he's been bad. He just that team is you're so talented on defense, you're so talented on special teams, you're so
Yep.
talented everywhere that Jared Goff doesn't have to be a superhero. Well, this past week he was a superhero, and it's fun to watch. And I kind of hope he gets the MVP this year. Lamar turned in a subpar effort against the Steelers, so I got to imagine that really closed the race up there between Goff and Lamar. And I think at the end of the year, if it's close, they'll just give it to Goff because Lamar already has them. So shout out to him. I give him my offensive player of the week. Obviously, I had Saquon on my list, and
Yeah.
then I don't know if you had a third. I don't want to steal your thunder if you did.
No, go. I had a couple guys. I had 2 wide receivers. You're more than welcome to take either one of them if you're.
Oh, I was just gonna throw Joe Burrow out there. I feel bad for
Oh,
the
cool.
dude. The dude's doing everything he can to help his team win, and his defense is just letting him down. But if people who watch this remember, I predicted in the offseason that he'd be the MVP this year because he was gonna have to throw for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns every game to win, and that literally has been factual. Like
Yeah.
Joey Burrow is balling his ass off and just doing the dang thing. And a slight shout out to another quarterback that's balling his ass off and keeps losing, Caleb Williams, man. He has had a couple of really
Yeah.
gritty late game performances just to watch his team lose on heartbreak. Um, Something happened this year with the field goal kickers. The NFL script writers have gotten freaking wonky with the field goal kickers. Justin Tucker is no longer the most accurate kicker in NFL history. That belongs to Eddie, what's his fuck? And
Pinheiro.
Pinero and blocked field goals ending
Mhm.
games. It's just been wild. So shout out to Joey B, shout out to Jared Goff, and of course Saquon. Saquon is just a little bit better than Dalvin Cook this year.
Yeah. I have Amon-Ra St. Brown, 11 receptions, 161 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Big shout out to him. And then T. Higgins had 9 receptions for 148 and a touchdown. So piggybacking off your 2 quarterbacks, the wide receivers that went ahead and benefited from those performances, also get a shout out there. Also shout out to I don't have him on my list, but Jerry Judy. I know he had 140 something yards with 6
Mm,
receptions. So I know he had a pretty decent game. So on the offensive side, a lot of ballers this week from a lot of known names. For the defensive side, a more quiet week this week, which has been the polar opposite. The defensive side is usually the ballers every single week, and it's hard to pick a one single guy, but the offensive players really they showed out this week for sure. Now
yeah, I
moving
mean,
on.
I think a lot of NFL fans were sitting in their seats watching that game on Thursday, and I think Luvu was one of the performances from the weekend, the Thursday through the weekend that really just he was all over the field. And that's the
Yeah.
benefit of the position he plays because some of these guys that have been really, really good at corner, we're going to talk about one of them next, just are not getting targeted at all. So you don't even
Yeah.
see them on your TV.
Yeah.
So
I think that's what makes the corner position so it's one of the most it's the most difficult to position to play on defense. But it's just not super rewarding outside the interceptions. The interceptions is the only thing that really gets you shouted out, noticed, a finger pointed your way saying, "Hey, you're doing a great job." Most of the time, if you hear a corner's name too much in the league, that usually means they're not that good. That means they're getting targeted a lot, and a lot of receptions go their way. But yeah, it's just not a super glamorous position for recognition if you're playing really well. Same thing with the safety position. Kirby Joseph is having an incredible season and no one's talking about it because Brian Branch is so good, but Kirby Joseph is having as good as a season as he is as well. But no one talks about Kirby. So it's just not the secondary doesn't get the shout outs.
well, it's like if you do like a Instagram search or a TikTok or X search for like Sauce Gardner, all you see is like these highlight catches that people make on Sauce Gardner. And it's because you don't catch a regular ball on Sauce Gardner. It's literally got to be the best catch of your fucking season. If you make a completion against Sauce, it's the greatest thing you've done all day.
Yep.
And so then he becomes, it's kind of funny. I was searching around earlier for some clips and you Google his name and there's like 4 highlight reel catches. And you would think he was just dog shit, but it's like, no, he literally doesn't. If you're going to catch a ball on me, it's going to be on ESPN's top 10 because it had to have been fantastic for you to accomplish it. So a lot of the good corners in the league are like that right now.
Looking forward at the rookie performances from this past week, we shout out 3 apiece. We usually don't coordinate this, so if one person shouts out the other one, then we end up turning towards another one. There's plenty of rookies who always have great performances, and as close as an eye we keep on all these rookies from the class to class, names are abundant. Drew, if you want to go ahead and start this one out with your first shout out for top rookie performances.
Yeah, I want to talk about a guy that didn't get a lot of playing time at the beginning of the season for his team. His team is playing really, really well right now. They're smashing people left and right. That's going to be Cooper DeJean. He's got
Yeah.
an 85.9 coverage grade, which is first amongst all corners. And he is doing a little bit of everything for his team right now. Obviously, we know the biggest weakness for the Eagles last year were their corners. They went out and invested in 2 really, really good guys, and Cooper is in the slot, outside, inside, wherever he's got to be. He is just, and I was a little bit with Cooper. I was like, what is he playing? Is he an outside
Yeah.
guy? Is he a slot corner? Is he actually a safety? Is he going to play up in the box? What's this guy going to do? Well, it turns out he just covers people and he does it really freaking well. So
Yeah.
shout out to Cooper DeJean. He's getting more snaps. He's not allowing any catches and he's playing really, really well.
Yeah, I'm gonna start out with the offensive side of the ball, and I'm gonna go ahead and go forward with Bo Nix. Obviously, absolutely destroyed the Falcons. 28 of 33, 307 yards and 4 touchdowns. He looks sharp out there, man. And for a guy that I wasn't super sure about where his fit would be inside the league, he's playing well and he's playing his role correctly. And I'm not sure where the ceiling is for Bo Nix. I think we're if this is the ceiling, I think we're fine as long as you develop the team around him because I don't there's not a lot offensively around him. Let's just be quite honest. There's Cortland Sutton, and then what you have a backfield of Jaleel like McLaughlin and Javante Williams, and there's not a whole lot going on around them. So you give him more weapons, you give him more pieces. I think Bo could be we talk about king of the second tier. I think Bo can live in that area for his career He's playing right now, and especially this past week, again, absolutely dominating those Falcons.
That's called the Dak Prescott Award, by the way.
The Dak Prescott, the Derek Carr, Raiders Derek Carr, at least. The Kirk Cousins. Yeah.
Do you know which 5 rookies have the highest PFF grade this year? Defensive rookies, sorry.
Defensive
5
rookies.
defensive. Yeah. Number 1 is gonna be Jared Verse, shout out to us. Number 2 is gonna be Andrew Phillips, already mentioned on this podcast.
Yep.
Number 3, Evan Williams, he's killing it. Number 4 is Renardo Green, aforementioned 49er, balling out. Number 5 is Cooper DeJean. But Cooper is only allowing 3.4 yards per target. That is
Goddamn,
that
bro.
is crazy. That is the lowest in the NFL, only 3.4 yards, followed by Renardo Green, 4.5 yards per target. And that's just 3.4 yards per target. That is just like you don't even target that man at that point, because even if you do, you're only getting like somebody's running a stick route 4 yards and he's getting tackled immediately by Cooper. He's just
Yeah,
been
right.
so freaking good. I didn't even put Bo Nix on my list, but he has fully moved himself into Rookie of the Year award
Yep.
territory with Jaden Daniels, and Jaden's been really good. Obviously, Jaden has that Hail Mary, but the Broncos are making moves. The Commanders obviously lost a very big game this week, so I'm hella excited to go down the stretch here with Bo Nix and Jaden
Yeah.
battling it out. I feel bad for Caleb because Chicago, they're a dumpster fire and it's not his fault. But hopefully they'll hire some real people in the offseason and get it sorted out for him.
Yeah, that's the hope at least, man. I was looking around at some of this crazy the history of some of these quarterbacks that have come in, how the GMs and coaches don't match up with the quarterbacks. There'll be a GM and head coach that comes in, and then they'll trade for a quarterback, like all the way back. They trade for Jay Cutler. And then the next year later, it looks good. Then the next year after it doesn't. And then they get rid of them. They get rid of the GM and head coach, and then a new regime gets put in. Jay gets one more year, and then they draft Mitch Trubisky, and then it's a constant rotation of, oh, that's not my guy. Oh, that's not my guy. So hopefully it doesn't happen to Caleb. That's the last thing I want for a young second guy. I am going to go ahead and go with. I'm going to go on the defensive side of the ball, and I'm going to go with Braden Fisk, 3 tackles, another 2 sacks for Braden. Um, I love shouting out Braden Fisk every opportunity that I can get because I was huge on him. He was my number 2 interior defensive lineman coming out of the draft, and he looks baller. Again, we already talked about that defensive line for the Rams and how young and stout it is with Verse and obviously Kobe Turner, 2nd-year player, and Braden Fisk, another rookie, and just it looks really good. And Braden looks really good out there. So I'm excited that he's showing out and doing what I thought he could do.
There's always going to be players that we're going to be attached to during the run up
Oh yeah.
of something, whether it's somebody we pounded the table for. Obviously, I'm always going to be attached to Jaden Daniels because
Hmm.
I was adamant that he was second. And because of other reasons, I'm always going to be attached to a certain Chargers wide receiver, Mr. Lad McConkey.
Yeah.
And I stumbled upon this stat this week. Shout out to him, 123 yards. He's already one of the best wide receivers in football. And I'm absolutely, absolutely, absolutely loving the tweets of I'm gonna tell my kids this was Lad McConkey and Justin Herbert, and it's the pictures of Tom Brady and Wes Welker, or Tom Brady and Amendola, or Tom
Right.
Brady and whatever they're doing, right?
Yeah.
But do you want to know over the past month of the NFL which wide receivers are leading the league in separation? And this isn't just targets; this is just routes. And the reason why I'm bringing up this stat here is I get to shout out another one of my guys.
Okay.
Top 3, these wide receivers are leading the league in separation. And no, Brandon Ayuk's not on this list because he's a bum. Do you know who number 1 is?
Is
Not a
it
rookie.
not a rookie? Man, I don't know.
It's going to be Mr. Christian Watson, number 1 separating wide receiver in the NFL right now. Number 2, Marvin Harrison Jr., which is weird because he's like the forgotten guy from this draft class, although I think he's going to be an 8-time All-Pro. And then Lad McConkey, number 3. Shout out to A.D. Mitchell, who's number 4, because we're not talking about him a lot either, but I still think he's going to be really good. But yeah, Lad McConkey is just going to be in the NFL for the next 12 years. He's going to
Yeah.
catch 700 passes for first downs on third down, running little whip routes and quick slants. And I don't know if he's Wes Welker or if he can be Cooper Kupp. I don't know yet, but I think
Mm.
that there's a strong chance that he's better than Welker. I think he's a strong chance that he's better than Cole Beasley. I think he has
He's faster, bro.
upside to his game,
His long
especially
speed
with a
is so
quarterback like
much
Justin
better.
Herbert.
Yeah, his long speed is so much better than those guys. Like, those guys didn't have the long speed like Lad does. Like, Lad ran a sub 4.4. He ran a 4.39. This dude's fucking fast, bro. And everyone just thinks, oh, he's a white dude. He's shifty. We bring the lunch pail to work type guy. He's the blue collar work. Bro's just fast as fuck. That's what he is. He's not only shifty, he's not quick. He's not only quick on his feet for under 5 yards, under 10 yards, but he's fast, genuinely fast.
Yeah.
I was trying to save this last dude for you because I thought you would bring him up because it's always the
Oh, I
guy
got
I
a
bring up.
weird one, number 3.
Oh,
Brock?
yeah, like it has to be Brock. I'ma bust your fucking ass no matter who I'm playing. Bowers, 13 receptions, 126 yards, and a touchdown. Bro, he's on pace right now to break the tied end receptions for 1 year. For in a single season, he's on pace to break that record. Mr. Zach Ertz, I do believe, holds that record. So currently he's on pace to break it by 3 receptions. Real close, gonna be real tight. But regardless, we're 11 weeks into the season right now. He's on pace to do it.
Well, I'm pretty sure he leads all tight ends in yards, right? He's like 10th in the league total.
Yeah. Yeah. I just, it's, we knew that this guy was supposed to be good. We knew that he was supposed to be incredible. We knew what he could do. And yes, he does lead all in yards. 706, while Kittle is 560, Trey McBride 552, Kelsey 504, and Pitts is 494. But the distance again between Bowers and Kittle is 706, 560. Definitely a big difference right there. So it's just coming into the league and already establishing yourself as one of the best, if not the best tight in the league and a weapon, not just a tight end. It's incredible to see. It's tight ends aren't
So,
supposed to be that good season one.
somebody's gonna go back and listen to our prediction show from beginning of the season where I said that by like week 7, he would be the number 1 target over Devontae Adams for the Raiders.
Mhm.
People are going, "Yeah, duh, Brock Bowers is really good." He was not supposed to be like this. Like we already knew he was good. I was bullish on him. I talked about him every week,
Yep.
you know. It's at this point where like Brock Bowers has already entered into established veteran territory. He's just going to show up. I think he had 17 targets or something stupid. It's like it's the Malik Neighbors thing.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
literally
yeah.
nobody else on that team, so they're just gonna throw it to him every time and let him cook, and I love it. I'm kinda using this 3rd spot on the rookie list every week to talk about someone I haven't talked about yet.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about Renardo Green, but I've already done that a couple times, and he doesn't have, like, a counting stat that I can go with. So I actually went with an offensive lineman that we haven't mentioned yet, but because the Steelers are kicking ass, I wanted to go with Zach
Zach.
Frazier.
Yeah, there you go.
He's he's only given up 4 pressures and 284 pass blocking snaps. For a rookie, that is just they're so it's so funny how much good tackle offensive line talent came out of this draft when offensive lines around the league are just dog shit. Like, I mean, Zach Frazier, I mean, obviously my guy Dominic Pooney has been fantastic. Joe Alt looks like he's just a Hall of Famer already. Like the this draft, man, like, we got so lucky. Could you imagine if we had picked, like, a really bad draft to go in depth and all these guys were benched and dog shit, and you're just like, "Oh, what is going on? These guys suck." But, yeah, so shout out to Zach Frazier. Only giving up 4 pressures and 2 almost 300 pass blocking snaps is insane.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was honestly really exciting to go through the entire if you've watched the show all the way back from the pre-draft process, that I like the trench guys. I like watching the offensive lineman tape. I love to grind that shit out because it's really exciting to me. So watching all these guys and their film was always really fun. Joe Alt's been great. Fuwanga started off super duper hot. So I'm excited to see where the rest of these guys kind of land because I know that this has been up and down throughout the season. Latham has not been great, but he wasn't even inside my top 5. Excited to see where some of these guys ended up landing, especially with the interior offensive linemen. I'm looking at my list right now, actually, since we're talking so much about the rookies. And I had Frazier as my number 2 center, 3 interior offensive linemen overall. So yeah, he's just not a super in-depth interior offensive lineman class, but still a ton of talent. You ready to move on?
Yep.